When it comes to football, the Eagles are way better than the Chiefs this year. They were built like that. It was clear that Spags said, Jalen Hurts, hey, Jalen, hey, you're going to have to beat us. Similar to what he almost did 2 years ago in the Super Bowl, they said, we're going to make sure that number one has the ball in his hands. He's going to be the decision maker. He's going to be the difference in this game. And he answered the call. That's why he got the Super Bowl MVP, 17 for 22. 220 yards, a couple of touchdowns, but most importantly, a record 72 yards rushing for a quarterback, and, of course, the opening touchdown of the game on the ground. He got the Super Bowl MVP. The Eagles got the win, and the Chiefs were destroyed from the open. I caution anybody who wants to use this as a data point to try and, rain on what the Chiefs have been able to do over the past 3 years, and since Mahomes has been a starter for the past 7. I caution anybody to also, if you're a big-time Tom Brady fan, if you're a Patriots guy, I caution you before you start popping your champagne and saying, okay, the GOAT conversation is over. No longer can we put this guy in the same conversation as our great one, Tom Brady, who has 7 Super Bowl titles. It's all said and done. You can be foolish enough to try to put a bow on this thing if you want to. I want to remind everybody, Patrick Mahomes, 29 years old. He has never finished a season outside of the top 4 in the NFL when it comes to either winning a Super Bowl, losing a Super Bowl, or finishing in the AFC Championship game. And even the 2 AFC title games he lost in, those came in overtime. So he just had maybe the worst performance of his NFL career. 6 sacks. Couple interceptions, a pick 6 to a rookie in Cooper DeJean, who I mean, that was just talk about being fooled by a coverage and letting one go, and literally that was kind of like the nail in the coffin as the Eagles took a 17-0 lead there in the second quarter. Like, it felt like there was no way they're going to return from that, and it was true. It was true, C-Katt. Like, did you were rooting for the Chiefs, ironically.
Yeah, with my wallet and I guess the lesser of the 2 hate watches that were going on last night.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed because America was given a bad football game, and that just sucks when the last game you get stinks that bad.
You know what? America deserves it. America low-key deserved this football game to be as bad as it was and to be as decrepit as it was. Yeah, they did.
What do they do to deserve that?
Because America has been the worst. Like, when it comes to just consuming football, enjoying the game, and also talking about the storylines, this has been the most disingenuous and also divisive years ever. I don't know if it's what Elon Musk did to Twitter. I don't know if it's what sports talk radio and people that are the talking heads like myself have done to the industry, but it has just been absolutely unbearable. From everybody complaining and acting as if the referees are playing this big of a part in one team's excellence, to the divisiveness around the MVP conversation with Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, to people with MVP votes literally rooting on one guy as they're also solidifying their vote and also helping people out who are putting money down on this MVP conversation, therefore moving the line, to also this, like, how in the world did we not have a better consideration for what this Eagles team was, like how big of a buzzsaw that they would be? And part of the reason why we never gave enough credit for that was because we were having all of these ridiculous, disingenuous conversations about who the hell deserves to be the MVP, myself included, about why in the world is Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs finding ways to win on the margins there. They were a 15-win team, and to this day, even you, C-Katt, are trying to tell me that this result tells you that they weren't one of the better teams in the NFL this year.
That who? The Eagles?
The Chiefs.
The Chiefs.
Yeah.
This tells me the Chiefs are probably the 3rd best team in the AFC. Yeah.
See, and that's what I don't understand.
They're really good at winning games, a week-to-week matchup, but if you were to run the simulation and have the Bills play the Chiefs 10 times and have the Ravens play the Chiefs 10 times in 2024, the Ravens and the Bills would win more of those football games than the Chiefs would have.
I don't understand how you come to that conclusion.
Because I just watched the Chiefs get down 34-0 to an Eagles team. That's how I get to that conclusion.
Yeah, well, all right, so what the Eagles were able to do to the Chiefs, the Bills couldn't. The reason why the Chiefs are a better football team.
Not that they couldn't. They didn't.
They can't. There's no other team in the league that could do what the Eagles did to the Chiefs last night. That's why it's the only time we've seen the Chiefs getting beat like that.
It's one season. I mean, yeah, that season, There's the only time. That's the only matchup that it happened.
Did you see what Vic Fangio was able to do as a defensive coordinator in this game? Like, of course, I'm not going to defend the Chiefs' offensive line play or make excuses for them because there was an injury to the left tackle, which forced Joe Thuney to go out to left tackle and play out of position. And it felt like the communication for the offensive line for the Chiefs, they kept getting beat by all these stunts. But when you're able to only send 4 guys literally from the start of the game to the end of the game, 0 blitzes, and still get consistent pressure on a down-to-down basis, still sack Patrick Mahomes, who doesn't take sacks often, 6 times, creating all of those negative plays in favor of your defense, and you're dropping 7 every single time against the receiving core that is, I mean, come on, it was Xavier Worthy and the Pips. Like, of course you're going to be able to dominate a game. The Bills couldn't do that. The Lions couldn't do that. The only other team in the NFL that I think could have emulated something similar to what the Eagles were able to do was maybe the Baltimore Ravens, but they didn't get a chance because they couldn't get past the Bills. This isn't the point differential in this game doesn't validate any feelings about the Chiefs being a bad football team.
Oh, yes,
it does. I think
it
validates that the Eagles are head and shoulders above what the Chiefs were this year, as well as a perfect matchup to stop the Chiefs.
Okay, if the Eagles are head and shoulders above the Chiefs this year, then the Eagles are ahead over the Bills and the Chiefs. That's what it tells me. Like, not head and shoulders, but they're just ahead over the Chiefs, the Ravens, and the Bills.
There's no team. There was no team, maybe the Ravens. There was no other team that would have been able to beat the Eagles in that Super Bowl. No other team. They played lights out. Jalen Hurts played near perfect. He had 1 bad play. The defensive line dominated with no help against an offensive line for the Chiefs that, yeah, they were a little discombobulated, but they got a couple of all-pros there still. They got a couple of guys that might be Hall of Famers at their position still, in Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, Joe Thuney. Those guys are heralded as great linemen, but the Eagles have, like, warships of dudes coming in there and wreaking havoc. And on top of that, it wasn't even like it was the Saquon Barkley show. Like, they sold out to stop the biggest threat on the Eagles offense. 25 carries, 57 yards. Remember before the game when everybody kept telling me about how, oh, man, this Saquon is going to tear the Chiefs up. And I kept saying, I think they'll be able to stop the run. I think they'll be able to figure it out. They bottled up Saquon. They just couldn't get a hold of Jalen Hurts and that passing attack. How does that prove to you that the Bills were better when the Chiefs literally just beat them 2 weeks ago?
It's all theoretical, right? That's the name of the show. Quite literally, theoretically speaking. But you can't put up a performance like that, put your quarterback down 34 points, and expect me to respect you more than the other teams that didn't make it out of the AFC. That is an embarrassing.
So you're losing respect for the Chiefs because they beat everybody out to make it to that game and weren't able to beat the best team in the league this year?
Yeah, they did not represent the best conference in football in the best way. It was despicable the last 2 weeks. What were they doing all week?
What you're saying actually makes 0 sense to me right now.
Yeah,
and
they won 2 coin flip games. Congratulations to that. They made a couple of plays.
What were the 2 coin flip games they won?
Excuse me. They won one
coin flip game against the Bills.
Yes, 1 coin flip game against the Bills.
But they beat the Bills. What are we talking about?
Play that game 10 times. I think the Bills win more of those chances. Yes, it's a lot of variety and variables in these games that went the Chiefs' way a couple of those times. The drops that we saw in the Super Bowl didn't happen in the AFC Championship game. A couple of calls didn't go the Bills' way that went the Chiefs' way in the AFC Championship game. The Chiefs just so happened to have made it out of that coin flip game. Were they best suited to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl to contend with the Eagles? No.
They absolutely were. Nobody in the AFC were beating the Eagles this year.
So the Bills were going to lose by 19 or more points, or the Bills are going to be down 45 to nothing.
How does that matter? How does that matter? Because part of the reason why the Chiefs were down so much, because I believe a couple drives in, Mahomes realized, I have to start swinging for the fences because none of my guys are getting open. My line can't hold up against a 4-man rush. And if I don't start getting active soon, this thing is going to get out of hand in the other way. So, and this is what you can hear it straight from Mahomes himself after the game. Again, one of the worst games of his career. He had a 0.9 QBR on 3rd downs. That is hard to do. QBR is 0 to 100. He had a 0.9 QBR on 3rd downs, and so much of that had to do with the Eagles' defense. Blanket coverage, nobody was getting open, and the offensive line not able to withstand the stunts and the constant pressure from that Eagles defensive front.